In our career life, we have accepted a lot of tags. For example, an accountant, a salesperson. So once we accepted these tags, it becomes very hard to think beyond them. Understanding what building blocks you currently have is the first step to discovering new possibilities. It is because when you focus on the building blocks, the job titles and the tags will no longer restrict your imagination like before. Here is what I do in my coaching sessions. Inquire into the client's past experience, break them down into building blocks, and expand the mind for new possibilities. This always works well and gives very good outcome, but I felt that to get more benefit from it, we actually needed more time and more space for the client to go into a deep thinking. So this is why this worksheet was created. People can do a self-discovery first and then come to my coaching sessions with those insights, with a much better understanding of their career capital. And so that we can build on top of such understanding and have a much more productive session. This is basically saying that using this worksheet, you can now kind of coach yourself. Of course, it's not exactly the same as working with a coach, but you will still get a lot of benefits. So this worksheet consists of more than 40 questions. So the questions are designed in a way that you will unbundle your experience into building blocks. So a lot of mind expansion and self-discovery, new ideas and thoughts will come up, and this is how you will start to see other possibilities that you never thought of before. And through taking stock of what you will have more respect for yourself, and which means more confidence. And that confidence definitely helps in the everyday life of your career. You will also know how to grow your career. When you know where you are, you can build bridge to where you want to be. Lastly, you can stand out in job search. So having good awareness is always the very necessary first step for writing a real good resume. And when you have a wealth of bullet points at your disposal, you will definitely perform much better in the interviews and behave much more confident and convincing. The good things you gathered in your career journey, it has a name: career capital. Career capital is what people will hire you and pay you for. In this worksheet, we categorize career capital into 4 components based on one of the HR frameworks. So when we talk about career capital, we usually think of the number 4, know what, which is the industry context. And number 3, know how, which is the skills. We always thought these 2 are the most important, but actually studies have shown that across all industries, your real success factor are actually number 1, what your motivation is, and number 2, who you know or how you relate to people. So this worksheet is in the reverse order, starting from the point number 4, which is the industry context, because it's kind of the easiest to crack at. Because the complete worksheet can be downloaded at my website, uuchannel.com, for free, I will not go through this line by line, but rather, really I'll just highlight the most important things that you should pay attention to when you use this worksheet. Section number 4, know what. This section is about your technical understanding, skills, domain knowledge in an industry context. So I want to encourage you to think about industries in a more open-minded way. Don't be limited to the kind of the industry that only your company was in, but also the industries that you had exposure to and collaborated with. So let's say if you were an accountant working for an accounting firm, then your industry is accounting. But if you had a load of logistics clients, then I would also put logistics as an industry for you. Similarly, there are also project and other related ways to think about it. So you have plenty of questions to get you thinking about that. Next is on skills and knowledge for industries. Don't dismiss. People tend to underestimate the general domain knowledge they have. So actually, as long as you know more than a commoner who's outside of that industry, that will be valuable to your career, because nowadays a lot of jobs actually do not demand just specialist knowledge, but also requires general knowledge for a particular industry. Section number 3, know-how. This section is about the know-how of delivering the work required. It includes skills, knowledge, and competencies, but most importantly, the evidence of these skills and competency exist. So try not be limited to your job title, but think about building blocks that your work related to. So for example, if your function was product management, but when you break it down into different components, then you saw a lot of internal selling and also pitching, and then you supported the sales representatives at client meetings, then in such case, it will be sales will be a competency for you as well. Of course, you may say that by this standard, anything will become a skill. And yes, it will become a skill, but only skills that give results will be valuable in the job market. So this is why in this section, the most important element is actually evidence. The evidence to prove that your skills actually exist. Interestingly, most people fail to include enough evidence in resumes or talk about it in interviews. This is because they think evidence has to be measurable business impact in dollars and numbers. So of course, if you do have measurable and quantifiable numbers, it will be the best. But a lot of times we don't have that privilege. So in my worksheet, I've provided another 8 ways to come up with evidence to prove that you indeed have the know-how to do that job. Section number 2 is know whom. This section is not only about whom you know, but also how you work with people and relate to people. Firstly, you need to identify the types of people you actually know. So this can be really a wild card, and this is a very interesting exercise. Like someone told me, I never knew that it's so useful as a career capital that I know many wives of expatriates who are in very senior positions, and that help him to move into a role to do campus recruitment for an international school. And then it's about how you work with people, how you lead, how you influence or organize and get things done. So remember, you will need stories for each of these points that you highlight. And organizational culture is one thing that people also tend to ignore, but they are very important because it takes different types of skills or personalities to work in either SME or large corporate or different type of company. So both of these should be counted as your career capital as well. And there are not only 2 types of company cultures. I'm just generalizing here. And there are many types of different organizations, right? Like some organizations are very risk averse, for example, in a financial institutions, or some organizations really encourage a lot of adventure, innovation. So define the organization's characteristic and environment to show why you had the kind of personality to thrive there, or yes or no. So since this is a discovery, then you also want to know what did not work for you. Lastly, know why we want to do what we want to do. Basically, understanding our motivation and passion, understanding which direction we really have that strong interest to take our career towards is very important for the career planning. So at the end of this worksheet, there is also a section on how you can use your career capital insights for the career planning and career transition and even interview processes. You can download the worksheet at yoyochannel.com, free resources section. You can always book a one-on-one coaching session from my website as well with me to discuss your findings and connect these insights to the job market.